Welcome to some more endgame magic. This time it's from a game between Paul Littlewood and the ex-world champion Vasily Smyslov. It comes from the Hastings tournament of 1982. I actually saw this game live at the age of 18. After my game in one of the amateur sections was over, I went along to see the professionals in action at Hastings Falaise Hall. It's another bishop against knight ending, where white is 2 pawns down, but unlike the game Kudryashov-Suetin, there are no obvious stalemate chances here because the black pawns are not very far advanced, and this time we're not dealing with a rook's pawn either. Nevertheless, white to move can draw this position. If you'd like to think about what white should play here, pause the video. I'll give you a hint. There's only one drawing move, and clearly white must go after the black pawns to stand any chance. So good luck. Okay, welcome back if you had a go at this problem. And let's first of all look at how the game proceeded. Littlewood chose the move bishop a6. Now attacking the b-pawn is a good idea, but the timing is wrong. Okay, the b-pawn's attacked, so Smyslov advanced b4. And now white tried the move bishop c8. We'll see what the idea behind that move is in a moment. But the problem is that the more natural move, king c2, is very well met by a sneaky retreat, knight d7. And now if white attacks either of these pawns with king b3 or king d3, black has a knight check on c5. And that picks up the bishop on a6 and wins in either of those two lines. Okay, so instead Littlewood tried bishop c8. Now this move creates a barrier. The bishop controls the squares e6 and f5, and that restricts the ability of the black king to move into the main centre of action. And we'll see that the theme of a barrier crops up quite a few times in this ending. Okay, so Smyslov would not be able to move the king, but he could play b3. And now the tables, in a way, are turned because all of a sudden black has created a barrier of his own. Notice how these squares around the white king are under the control of either the black pawns or the black knight. c2, c3, d3, e3. Black even controls f3. And if white were to play king c1, then black has knight c4. And now there's another barrier. The squares b2, c2 and d2 are controlled. Well, white wouldn't be able to tolerate that, so he would have to play bishop a6, hitting the knight. But the knight has a safe square to retreat to. Knight a5. And after king b2, black can simply advance his king with king e5, and this is an easily won position. Okay, so instead Littlewood played bishop a6, lifting the blockade, and Smyslov immediately moves his king e6. And the only hope is to go after the b-pawn. Littlewood did this with king c1, but the king went to d5. White played king b2, and now, as previously, Smyslov uncorked the sneaky retreat, knight d7. And this defends the b-pawn indirectly because if white captures that pawn, king takes b3, black has knight c5 check, winning the bishop. So instead, Littlewood checked on b7, The king came to c4. He gave another check on a6. King went to b4. The bishop came back to try and block the pawns, but the knight came to c5, and in this position Littlewood resigned the game. We can see how things might have proceeded though if he'd played it out. Here's one possible line: bishop e2, d3, bishop d1, d2, and again we have a barrier on the squares c2 and c1. Bishop e2, knight a4 check, king goes to a1, we have another check, b2, king gets out of check and goes to a2, and now this is the last opportunity for black to go wrong. A hasty knight c3 check here would only draw. White would capture the b2 pawn, black would play knight takes bishop, and then white has king c2, attacking and winning the last black pawn. But instead, the move king c3 is decisive here. White plays king b1, and now there's a nice knight maneuver. The knight goes to b6. The bishop comes to d1. If king a2, king c2 would win. And the knight comes to c4, and next move black will play knight a3 check, and that would be winning. Okay, so that was the game continuation. And studying what actually happened in Littlewood Smyslov, we've learned that bishop a6 exposes the bishop to the knight retreat, knight d7, with a check on c5. And this tells us that white must play instead the move king c2. So the threat is to play king b3, king b4, and then king takes b5. Consequently, black must counter with king e6. Now it's time to hit the b-pawn with the bishop. White can play bishop a6. As before, the pawn advances, but now white has king b3. And this means that there's just no time for black to play knight d7 in this position. He would lose the b-pawn. And instead he's forced to play knight c6. And this gives white the chance to attack the knight with bishop b5. The black king defends the knight, and we can exchange the minor pieces. Bishop takes c6 check, king takes c6. And now white must not capture the b-pawn. If white captures the b-pawn, he loses. And the reason is a principle that's very important in king and pawn endings, and in other types of ending, but particularly king and pawn endings, and that's the opposition. White plays king takes b4, black plays king d5. We have another barrier. The squares c5, c4 and c3 are denied to the white king. White king has to retreat, king b3. Black plays king e4. White plays king c2 to try and get to the queening square d1. Black plays king e3. White gets to the queening square with king d1. But now black can take the opposition with king d3. The opposition means that your opponent is obliged to give way to you. White can only choose between king c1 when black will play king e2, or king e1 when black plays king c2, and either way that d-pawn will advance and queen, and there's nothing that white can do to stop it. Returning to this position though, white doesn't have to take the b-pawn, and instead white can play a truly sublime move. He can play king c4, going in between the two pawns and seizing the opposition for himself. And now if king b6, white just takes the b-pawn, and if king d6, white takes the d-pawn. So the only thing left for black to try is b3. Well, white has to capture that pawn, otherwise it will queen. Black plays king b5, trying to take the opposition. The white king gives way. The black king advances, again trying to keep the opposition. The white king comes to c2. The black king comes to c4. And the white king comes to d2. And now it's not possible for black to play king d4 because the pawn stands on that square. And so he can't keep the opposition. There's nothing better than advancing the pawn with d3. And now the last important move of the ending. White plays king d1. And this move draws because after king c3, king c1 takes the opposition. Black's got nothing better than to play d2 check. And after king d1, black will play king d3, and it's a draw by stalemate. So a very, very interesting ending. And I think for me, the most beautiful move is this king c4 move, drawing the game, a truly sublime move. Thanks for watching.